All right, welcome to Heavy Radio 13. I am Eric with Marco, as always. Marco, how are you doing today, sir?
Heavy Radio 13 coming in hot.
Yep. And this week we have special guest Lauren Gornick. Lauren, how you doing today?
Hey, pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing well. This beautiful Saturday morning here. Perfect for some metal talk.
Where are you located at? I don't know. I think one of you is in Iowa, right?
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
out of Des Moines, Iowa, and
That's correct.
yeah,
Yep, and I'm
Eric's out
down
of
here
Austin,
yes,
Oh,
down here in
nice.
Austin, Texas.
Must
So,
be
and
especially nice there. It's getting cold.
you're out of
right.
St. Louis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That
Cool.
is correct.
Is it starting to turn fall there? Starting to get spooky out?
Yeah, I could say it's pretty spooky. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's getting pretty spooky. I
Word.
like it. I like it though. I mean, I've been kind of
Yep.
sick of this humid, shitty weather for a while, so I'm stoked on it kind of cooling off and sit and relax.
There you
yeah.
have it. Yeah, I already got I've already started on the horror movies
Oh, there you go.
coming in. I watched the documentary on Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I don't know if you guys know those
Oh,
books from back in the day.
yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
heard that was great. I love Del Toro directed that, right? I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
the
I've been meaning to check that out.
the artwork from those books is still that always comes to my mind. That haunted me as a child.
Creep Fest.
Oh, absolutely. Especially that one. It's the one of the girl, and her face is scrunched. It's like it's really small, but she's kind of like a heavier set monster. I don't know what that one
Yeah,
was called. It was so
there's
eerie.
Yeah.
another with like a just a decapitated or disembodied head, and I don't know, I always think of that like I was a little kid and I read it on a camping trip of all places, and I was like,
Good
I
call. Good
literally
call.
I threw the book away like the next day. I was like, trash. No.
Oh my god. Yeah, I
But I think
remember.
it
I don't think I was allowed to have that when I was a kid. I'm sure,
I
like all
think
my
it
friends had it, but yeah, they got all up by it. My mom's like, "You're not having that."
Yeah.
I think it just made it so I got braver in the coming years, though. It desensitized me from the other horrors
Shit
I would see,
strong.
I think.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, we're happy to have you here, Lauren.
You
Figure
happy to
we
be
will,
here.
yeah. So I figure we will swing into the news. Marco, what's your
Yeah,
first news
we'll get
story
into some
this
heavy
week?
radio news.
Yep.
We got, actually, this one came to me straight from Eric AK, Flotsam and Jetsam, putting out a new record for 2021.
Oh damn!
Awesome.
How
Yeah,
many albums they have by now?
they've been cranking them, and
Right.
there's a couple bands from that time that just seem, I mean, for my money, seem to be getting almost, dare I say, better, or at least they've been really metal machines pumping out some interesting material. I think Flotsam and Jetsam is one of them for sure.
I
Yep.
think they have about like 20 albums by now. I'm like doing a little cheat sheet here. I'm looking at that Encyclopedia Material for a minute. Yeah, let's see. They had one out last year, the end of us. I have not listened to that yet. That album cover
Yeah,
is wild. Ooh.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I saw them live on that tour and have that record. Yeah, it's I feel like, especially the fact that Eric AK's been there since the beginning is pretty impressive because he's, definitely
Hmm.
does some wild vocals, I would say, and the fact that he's kind of almost, I would say, maybe became more like professional vocalist sounding, but really cool still.
Well, yeah,
Cool.
for
5,
sure.
6, 7, 8, 9,
I
10,
have
Yep.
to
11,
really
12,
check
Excited.
into what
13. I
he's
think
doing
this will be
now.
album 14 as far as studio albums, it looks
Oh,
like.
okay. Yeah, they
That's
got
right.
had a very extensive for sure.
Yeah, I
And
need to
then
get caught up on those cats. It's been a hot minute.
I think I
yeah,
bought them like it was like I feel like it had to have been before 2016 because I remember they put something out then. Um, Ugly Noise. Ugly Noise came out in 2012. I think that's around the time I saw them last. I can't remember though. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rad. Yeah, I've yet to have seen him live.
I would say it was rad. It was they played like a really cool mix of their discography, and Eric AK sounded amazing. And yeah, I think just they've had really cool members through the years. People like Jason Bittner, Jason Newsted there in the first record.
Oh yeah, he was in that for a bit. That's right. What the hell he doing now? Is he like just recording bands and shit? I don't even know. I gotta look at that.
I don't know what. I guess the last thing he did, he had some kind of, I think, local band in his area
Hmm.
doing some acoustic stuff. He had like a heavy metal album called Newstead, but I think that's almost 10 years ago
Oh
or more
wow.
now. So yeah, he must just be hanging out.
Living.
Well,
That's cool. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm hyped for that.
Trying to think what other cool new stuff came out this year. Like, I guess I've been paying attention to a lot of stuff off of Iron Bonehead, which is kind of mostly like black and death metal stuff. Um, Basically, two song picks I did today came from albums that are really killer. I chose them because it's also coincidentally with uh, album art that I did, but that I was really impressed by how those both turned out. Pretty happy with the music and the art combination, so to speak.
Rad.
Hell yeah.
Totally. Cool, cool. Well, my first bit of news, I got some. It's been a theme all year, of course, of bands playing from home and doing streams, and all that good stuff. Just to, stay in front of fans and be able to connect with
Hmm.
the fans. So over at Metal Injection, they put together a concert called "Stay at Home," and it went so well that they decided to make it a monthly series. So if you go over to Metal Injection, you can see some of the
Oh
artists they got
wow.
coming up, and some of the bands they have. They have members from bands such as The Ocean, Mastodon, Revocation, Aborted, Death Clock, Warbringer, and a bunch more. So yeah, they're gonna collect donations, and that's all going to charity to the National Alliance of Mental Illness. So that's really rad. So yeah, it's a great way to see some heavy bands play. Some new jams. Get to see them play live, and then put together some money for a good cause. So check out Metal Injections Stay at Home. Looks pretty rad.
Yeah, I saw something, and I didn't
Cool.
look into the. I mean, I kind of read about it a little bit. Like I looked into the terms and conditions or whatever. But there was some rumor going around where it's like, oh, if you live stream a show on Facebook, Facebook can take down your page and all this stuff. And I feel like that can't be true. I feel like people have been live streaming for that purpose. It's like that's why they have it, so people can, play music or do whatever. Can't just be all like TikTok style dances.
Yeah,
So
right.
Yeah. You would
I've
think.
got some on Twitch. I've got some on Twitch and some on
there you
YouTube
go.
mostly. And
I
that's what I've
think
been watching.
over the years, the only things I've had taken down so far are if there was like major label music in the background or something, it'll like get flagged.
Yeah, by the
But that's the only
copyright
thing
claim.
I've noticed. Like some of the big dogs look out for that kind of
That
thing,
makes
I think.
sense.
But
I guess that's the only thing I can imagine it being because I highly doubt like Facebook's gonna look at some local band and be like, nope, you're cut off. Nope, unfucking
yeah,
listenable.
I would hope not.
Right, right. Can't do it.
Zuck Zucker does not approve
Zuck does not
Yeah,
of
approve.
your
he doesn't like
metal.
it. Zuckerberg doesn't like
It'll
indie
be
metal
like a
bands.
court gesture thing, just like thumbs down. You get the boot.
Can't
Hmm.
stop us, Zuck.
Yeah. The other thing I got is Geezer Butler. Geezer Butler is he's getting his solo albums reissued. He had 3 of those over the years: Plastic Planet, Black Science, and Ohm Work. And yeah, I guess they've been hard to find, I guess, and now they're going to be put out again with kind of different artwork and
Oh
all that.
wow, nice.
Or
Right.
new packaging of the artwork, it looks like. But yeah, I think I don't, out of the metal community, I feel like Geezer to me has always been a solid dude, and just seems like a good human being. So always happy to see
True.
Geezer out and about.
You know, he used to live in St. Louis actually, which is pretty odd. Yeah, he
Oh,
has.
word.
No, I know. Actually, never realized
Yeah,
that.
he had a house down here. I
Cool.
don't know if his kids still live down here or whatever the situation is, but like that was very odd. It's like he's from England, but I don't know at what point he just decided, St. Louis sounds good. But I
Hey,
think
man.
like, you know,
I know
That's right.
he's also been a fan of the felines. I guess he has some. He's had some campaigns about not declawing cats. It looks like
I
something
like him
like
even
that.
more
So
now.
that's cool.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
I had not heard those records. I don't think I ever got a hold of them. Had you guys ever
I
heard
haven't
any of the
either.
Um,
stuff?
I think I have all 3. One, I know one had the vocalist from Fear Factory, Burton C. Bell. I think the
Whoa.
other 2 he had some local guy, but it's definitely, I would say it sounds of the '90s, but not as I would say in a bad way. Just definitely modern for
Like
that
not new
time,
metal, but it's kind of
but
like that
still,
Fear Factory, that proto new metal kind of thing, right?
yeah. I would say in that realm, I would give at least 2 out of the 3 records. The other one's just kind of, I don't know. It's definitely heavy metal, just kind of darker and more modern than you might think from a guy that wrote a lot of stuff with Black
That sounds
Sabbath.
kind of
But
cool.
yeah, I think it's definitely
Yeah.
worth checking out.
Definitely.
Yeah, and
Cool.
Like I typically don't care for that style. I grew up liking a lot of old Fear Factory for sure when I was like way younger, but I like seeing odd projects like that where people kind of step out of what they usually do. I just like I don't know. It's kind of like a little oddball thing. I don't know why. I've just never heard any of that solo stuff, but it piqued my interest.
yeah, I think definitely worth checking out. What
Awesome.
you got anything else, Eric?
Yeah, I just got one more story. Also, bass player solo record. Anthrax bassist
Hmm.
Frankie Bello, is coming out with his first solo album. So he said he's been working on it, and he said ever since the lockdown began, he's just had some more time to go back to it and kind of add some more touches. So from the interview over at blabbermouth.net, he's pretty excited about it, and I'm excited to hear what he's got going on. So altitudes and attitude was pretty rad. So I'm excited to hear what he's got up his sleeve.
I heard
Cool.
Definitely one of my favorite bass players ever in metal. So I'll listen to anything he's working on. So I'm pretty excited.
it's an ant.
Hell yeah. We
New
also
music on the way.
we got a joint birthday celebration going on again. This time for Lita Ford and Tommy Victor. They were both born
Ooh,
on September 19th. So
nice.
happy
Right on.
birthday, Lita Ford. Happy
Happy birthday.
birthday, Tommy Victor. Do some naked backflips into the pit for Tommy Victor and prom. And on this day, and also here's some cool bits of metal history. On this day in '86, Peace Sells But Who's Buying came out. This day in '88, State of Euphoria came out. And this day in '89, King Diamond put out Conspiracy. So some cool stuff happened. You get in a
Pretty
time
wild.
machine and go back to either one of those years, you got some good records coming out.
That's right. Wasn't King Diamond on the list of releases anniversary releases last week?
Yeah, I think the
Must be
same
it's the
same date
season.
where
Oh
yeah,
wow.
It's the King
he's
Diamond season.
got the black
It
candles
certainly
going.
is King Diamond.
But yeah,
Spooky.
It is.
yeah,
Can
we
feel the power.
And as we mentioned, we got Lauren Gornick here from St. Louis on with us, and you can
Howdy.
check out some artwork that she does at lgornickart.com. It's LGORNIKART.com, and also at Gornick Illustration on Instagram. And yeah, great to have you
Thank you.
here bringing the heavy radio.
Pleasure to be on.
And I guess there's definitely I've definitely noticed a lot of artistic talent coming through your feed over the years. Did you always kind of like art, or did when did you kind of get into it or realize you had some skill
Well,
there?
I mean, I grew up with a lot of family members that were heavy into art, and I kind of felt inspired in that way. Like I've always kind of had a very heavy art background. I think everybody goes through a little period of, kind of unsure what to do with their career when they're young. I mean, it's kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
weird crossroads that you come back to at different points in your life, and it's kind of like little mini existential crises here and there. But I feel pretty satisfied that I have stuck to my guns and continued doing art. That's what I did go to college for that. I got my BFA in illustration, and I did like technical illustration for NASCAR and racing industry stuff for the past 5 years. So I got a lot of like monster
Right.
truck T-shirts out there floating in the wild.
Nice.
I noticed that Bigfoot. I mean, that's pretty epic, right? The
Hell yeah.
I was like before I ever knew what a lot of things were. I had the Bigfoot Nintendo
Oh hell
game, so
yeah.
I was all
That's
about
a
that.
that's a St. Louis original,
And
the
then
Awesome.
first monster truck. You can actually go visit the original one.
awesome,
Oh,
There's been
yeah.
a
So
lot of
yeah,
incarnations of it.
you are
that's
part of
right.
that history, and also a tie here to Iowa. It looks like you did something for the Hall of Fame Sprint Car Museum, National Sprint Car Museum in
Oh
Knoxville.
yeah. Yeah, I got a bunch of, oh
Cool.
God, I have 1,000 different things, but I can't post them all on the website. It's kind of like I chose my favorite ones I got to do, but yeah, that was a fun thing. I'm kind of looking for, I'm doing strictly freelance now because of the COVID situation, but
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
let's see what I can do next. Might move out of St. Louis, who knows? Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. I kind of a follow up to that. I want to know what kind of got you started doing artwork with bands, or how'd that connection
Well,
happen?
I used to play music. I mean, I would love to still be doing that. It was kind of a thing I did, high school, college. Like I played guitar. I guess damn, I guess I've been playing guitar for almost like 15 years now, but uh, I've been kind of off of it
Right on.
for
Yes.
3. But I got to network with people and got to know people through music. And, you know, I was a little persistent when I was young. I was like, hey, let me do your show flyer, or you're a local band, let me do your logo. And a lot of them were not good.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them were not good, but that you have to do things that are not good until you get to where you need to be, get comfortable with your style. I mean, there's times where there's a couple pieces I still don't like of mine, but that's okay. I'm still developing. But I feel pretty confident at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. But yeah, that's basically that's how I got involved. That's how I got involved doing stuff for bands primarily.
Awesome. That's
Thank
really
you.
rad.
Yeah, and it looks like you've done stuff for breweries, racing, pizza places. Like this one, something that stood out to me was that Pizza Head. You did like a pizza box for him.
Yeah, that was a weird thing. So it was kind of a fluke, but so Stag Beer and Pizza Head were throwing a contest. Like it was some kind of, I don't know, you win like a cash prize and then you get your art on the box kind of a deal. And there was a lot of submissions for that. I was looking and I'm like, I have no fucking clue what to do for this. And like I started seeing more pop up. I'm like, man, these are badass. Like this one's cool, this one's not so cool, but most of them are pretty good. And I'm like, I doubt I'm gonna win, but I'm gonna draw this. I knocked it out in like an hour or two. and I submitted it and it won. And I'm like, that was pretty shocking. I'm like, yeah, but
That's
Cool.
right.
I still have the pizza box is massive. It's about, God, their pizzas are huge. I don't even know. I almost want to say like 20 inches in diameter. Like they're pretty big, very sizable box.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rad. You should check that out on her website, elgornicart.com. You can see that Pizza Head box and the skate decks. That's probably got to be a big thing. Have you made some of
Yeah,
those?
I actually this year, it was going to happen in May. They were going to have another show for it. Last year I did one that was called Bam Chimera. It's just the Bam Margera monster with Phil and
Yeah, this is amazing. You need to look at this too.
I really wish that yeah, I'm sitting here, I'm like, how the hell do I top that one this year? I don't even know. It's coming up on October 24th at Four Hands Brewery. They're going to do another skate deck show. I'll have a board for sale. Um, I just
Cool.
don't know. I'm still thinking. I have less than a month to get this done and decide what I'm doing, but it'll be a surprise for everybody.
It'll I'm sure it'll come to
I
you.
hope so.
That's right. Um, so I was gonna ask. Well, first I was gonna say I was stoked. I was looking through the album art and I saw you did the cover for Solicitor's album, Spectral
Yes,
Devastation.
yes. Oh my God, what a killer album, right?
Oh man, yeah. I was watching those cats from when they had their first demos going around. So I started following them on Instagram and got to see them, build up to making this record, and just it blew me away. It's super
I
rad.
think
Hell yeah.
I
Great
just
playing,
started
great
talking
singing.
to Amy one day. I saw her. She does really awesome jewelry on Instagram, and then I was listening to Solicitor, and I'm like, "Fuck,
Mm-hmm.
I want to do some work with this band. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
the kind of stuff I want to be doing." And yeah, I'm really happy that they chose me to do artwork for their current album. I think it turned out pretty cool. The concept was wild. I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, I hope I can knock this one out. I hope people like it as much as they like the music because I think it's a killer
Yeah.
album. It's very good.
Yeah, I'd say it
Thank
turned
you.
out pretty rad.
we we recently had a chat with Moira Applebaum, who does mastering for a lot of awesome bands, and I think mastering and artwork are both two things that are really parts of a record, as I know records, and so I think it's really cool
Mm-hmm.
when you basically get to be a part of that work of art, and people almost always think of the artwork when they think of a specific record.
Can
So I think that's
It's
really cool.
very I that's kind of the reason why I love what I do too. It's like getting to be part of the band, but not directly. Getting to be part of someone's musical legacy, which is pretty badass, or like what people. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I think of albums, sometimes I forget the title, and I'm just like, oh yeah, the red one, that album cover, like that really
Yeah.
Right.
cool one, and that's well, it's
Yeah, it
like one of
sticks with
my
you.
I don't know, one of my favorite artists was like a Polish painter, Beksinski, and his art is all over a bunch of heavy metal album covers, and that kind of made me discover and dive deeper into more stuff of his. But it's like, obviously that person is dead, and they didn't like make that artwork for the bands. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I always end up finding a cover, and I'm like, ooh, I gotta look more into this and like see this album looks badass because of the cover, and I'm gonna listen to it, kind of a thing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a little intimidating. That's why I don't want to
Yeah.
screw it up either.
Us- I mean, especially before streaming, that was often how I chose, like, if I found a new
Oh,
band but I
totally.
didn't have any other way to hear about them, I'd be like, yo, this Amon Amarth album cover looks cool, or this In Flames album
Yeah, just
cover
going
looks
through the
Hmm.
cool.
store, flipping through the CD racks and the
Oh yeah,
vinyl.
I still do it occasionally, and it hasn't let me down much. I have some really oddball covers in here There was, I don't know who does the artwork for Voivod. I'm assuming it's one of the members. I forget their name, which is a little embarrassing. But there's like a rap album that has that Voivod kind of style cover art, and it is just so weird to me.
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna pick this up, but I kind of want to. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I've had records like that where I just buy them from the cover and it looks kind of metal, but then it'll be
Yeah,
something else.
crazy.
That did
That's good
remind
though.
me. Yeah, Voivod has always had really cool artwork, and it reminded me that they put out a book of artwork. I think it was like maybe at least 10 years ago now, and I don't know if it's still a thing you can get, but yeah, it was like a book of artwork. I don't know how to pronounce. I think it's a French name, Langevin or Langevin.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
and but yeah, I just remember scroll up, turning one of my friends had that book, and there's a lot of cool stuff in there. Hopefully, you can still find it, but yeah, it was a pretty rad thing that brought to mind. But
Yeah, he's the drummer for
And
Voivod. I think the drummer does the art in Voivod. Yeah, he's been doing stuff for a long
oh,
time. I have like a heavy metal logo book that has like an extensive feature on some of his stuff and kind of the evolution of his style. Very cool though. Pretty badass.
yeah, and I do think it is cool when there is a band member that also does the art. Like if you just happen to have that talent, also it's cool. But
Yeah.
then it's also cool when the artist kind of like becomes like a band member, also like the
Mm-hmm.
um, different situations that have happened in music history.
Yeah, for
But yeah, I
sure.
guess he was in the band since the beginning, '82, and yeah, we had I had a track on the playlist from the latest Voivod EP, which was really interesting. It had horns, and it was sort of inspired by, I guess they played at a jazz festival a few years back, and
Nice.
it's definitely a really interesting, worth digging into, I think.
so yeah, another band I love is Savage Master. So I was looking through your
Oh
T-shirt
yeah, I love
designs,
the.
and
They're such good people, man.
they're
I love
badass
them.
as hell.
Stacy and Adam and
Um,
everybody. They're so fucking nice. Like, you know, they're some of the nicest people I've met in music for sure, and I love working with them. I think that they've gone so far since when I first saw them too, because it's like they just kind of blew up.
hmm.
I remember
Yeah,
Ret Fest in Chicago. They killed it. That was like one of their big shows too. I'm trying to think of, God, I've seen them so many times, but they're fucking awesome. I
yeah.
love working with them. I think I've done about 7 shirt designs for them now, which is insane. It's more than I've done for anybody.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kick ass. I was gonna ask if like with these kind of projects, I'm sure it varies, but like with the album art or the T-shirts, do the bands come to you with kind of like an idea, or are they kind of a concept, or do you kind of work together, or how did some of these
Well, some of
concepts
it is kind
come
of
about?
very direct, and some of it's a mix where they're like, "Hey, I got a general idea. Like, I want this, um, I want this figure on a horse, and I want, or you know what the best thing I think is when people send lyrics, but I don't like when the lyrics are too vague. Like if a song is just kind of, they're like, oh, make something based off of the lyrics, and then I read them and I'm like, well, I don't really understand what you're talking about. But a lot of other times that's it typically is extremely helpful. And we go from there. I come up with like a concept sketch based off of the music. I'm like, well, from what I read, like this seems like, the progression of the story in your lyrics. Here you go. Drew this. And sometimes, they're like, nah, that's not what we're thinking. And then other times they're like, oh, it's badass, go forward with it.
Mm,
But yeah, I don't know. Everybody's different. That's kind of natural with the territory though.
right.
Like everybody kind of has their own way with creating things. Like some people want like total control with I don't know. So like, not gonna bring in too many other topics here, but like I saw Adam Burke post about this. I think maybe it's not him. I thought it was, but maybe it was some other artist, kind of talking about how metalheads get obsessed with putting way too many little things in the artwork instead of having like one grand thing that
Mhm.
looks great. They're like, well, we need the sword to have a carving with his name on it, and he has to have an amulet that has this, and then there has to be like, yeah, all this
Gotta
crazy
have the
stuff, and
amulet.
it's like you can take away from artwork when you nitpick it to death. Like too much detail can take away.
Mhm.
So I don't know. That's another thing too. But I'm gonna stop rambling now. You could tell I
Yeah.
had my coffee.
I think
No, not
that's
rambling. I'm with you.
definitely.
I'm
I
on.
think
I'm on
that's
kind of a journey with
definitely
you.
a theme that has
Oh yeah.
happened, and I think I've probably been guilty of it at times.
Well,
Yeah,
sometimes it
all
works.
have.
I mean, it's okay. It's just kind of like it all depends on it. Like if you see it and you appreciate it, it could be worth the time and it could be worth the effort.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It either, I guess, it hits or it misses. If it has some kind of something that it's possible for other people to see or listen in the lyrics and be a part of it, then it could really work. And otherwise, if it's just totally a miss, then it's just like this is a mess. There's a lot going
One of
on
the
here.
hardest album covers I had to
Mhm.
do was recently. Um, Junkers is badass. They're really cool, like new Chicago. I don't even think they're really super new, but I think this is like their first release because I remember talking to them like a while ago. But it was like difficult doing the album artwork because I had like so many different initial sketch concepts for them, and it was like I had to include a devil figure, a Stuka, and then um, a guy called the Thrashmaster General, and who's on horseback. And I'm
Nice.
sitting there, I'm like, how do I make it where a fucking plane fits with a guy on horseback? I don't understand how I'm going to do this, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, after a couple tries, I think it works.
the
That's a
horse, the
sentence.
horse, the horse is piloting the Stuka.
Horse is flying the plane. Yep. Same
Yeah,
idea.
there you go.
I mean,
Solved.
that'd be pretty metal. I
It's
mean,
just wild, man. I'm like, I know I can do
Winning
it. I can think
combo.
of a solution for this. Yeah, it's
That's
always
rad.
fun.
Yeah, that sounds like
Hmm.
some fun problems to solve.
the
Yeah, I was just one more question on my side. I was gonna ask you if, like what keeps you motivated on the new
I
projects?
think it's mostly I have a lot on my plate a lot of times, and it can be disheartening when I like to bounce around between projects. I think it's good to obviously prioritize who needs the work done first, and always like go with treat it like okay, this is the deadline for these different things. I always like having new things on the horizon. I always have a bunch of commissions lined up. I haven't had a break in commissions since I graduated college, and that's while working full time.
awesome.
Hmm.
It's
That's
overwhelming though
Sure.
excellent.
because
That's rad.
sometimes, I'm at home and I'm like, I hate this today. I don't want to do it, and then I do it. But uh, I guess what keeps me going with it is that I constantly want to outdo my old work, and I constantly want to make something better and
Hmm.
improve and make something that you know I love the reaction I get from like people after I do artwork for them and they really love it and they're really excited to release their album or whatever it may be, and it's like I don't know, that's kind of that's a good little dopamine rush there. It's like approval from myself
Yeah,
from
definitely.
accomplishing something, and then approval from others just from like making something they enjoy. And I feel like that's always good. Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's right.
Hell yeah. And then, yeah, without further ado, we'll get into our playlist here. Heavy Radio playlist
Sweet.
on
Heavy
Spotify and
Radio
YouTube.
playlist.
And if you got anything you want to promote, go ahead before your first track. But otherwise, if you want to get us started off, we'll get into the tracks.
Well, let's see. I don't think I have a lot to promote right now. I have the only thing I can think of is the Skate Deck show is at Four Hands on October 24th. I'll have a skateboard design, like the whole skateboard for sale there. If you want to buy it, or if nobody buys it, I'll have it for auction, whatever. Um, I don't think I have
Hell yeah.
anything else coming up though. That's about it.
Cool. Yeah, if anything just comes to
That
mind,
sounds
put it in
exciting.
send me it in a link and we'll tie it to the cast
Awesome.
here.
Thank you.
But yeah, so
Yep,
to
yep.
getting on to the heavy playlist, what's your first track you got?
That's all.
Was I have actually have what you sent us. It was Sanctuary, Die for My
Oh
Sins.
yes, yep. I was like, I was trying to go back and forth on what to send. I'm like, you know what?
Nice.
I'm going to stick with a all traditional kind of sound on this playlist.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that is one of my
Oh
favorite
yeah,
songs
I
on that
love Old
record.
Sanctuary. I'm a big
So-
Sanctuary fan, and I'm a big Nevermore fan. I love Warrell Dane. It was
Yeah.
he's
Hell yeah.
awesome, man. Like I had the pleasure of meeting him the last time I was in a band. One of my favorite shows we got to play with Sanctuary. It was pretty badass.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
We were due to support Sanctuary, or we were due to support Nevermore
Ah,
on the show. It was like the last show they had booked, and right before that, they got in like some kind of squabble at the airport,
oh
and that was
no,
when Nevermore was
no.
Nevermore.
Mm.
So that was kind of bittersweet, but yeah, no, I love. I mean, I'm very understanding of people's struggles with substances, and
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't let it. It was sad, but it was sad that it didn't get to happen, and that I didn't get to see Nevermore in like a small club, which would have been amazing.
God, that would have
But
been awesome. Was it with Dark Mirror?
still cool. Yeah, we were gonna support them, and they were gonna play at. It was a small club in Des Moines called House of Bricks, so it would have been, especially what I know of Nevermore's live show, how amazing they sound.
Ah, man.
It would have been nuts, I'm sure. But yeah, no, I love Warrell Dane. It's like pretty. I just love how his voice progressed, and like it was kind of like probably partially due to not taking care of himself that it got kind of rugged and low, and he couldn't really do what he did on the first two records. But just something about it. I
He
like
adapted
everything,
real
like the
well though,
whole.
like
Yeah.
versus somebody else. Like I don't know. I don't even want to like trying to think of somebody else
Yeah, no,
to compare to. Like
I get what you're
Yeah.
yeah,
saying. I've to me one is Paul Diano. I don't know what happened to him,
yeah.
but he was like a fucking amazing on the early records, and then
Yeah.
he got real growly and low, but maybe not in the awesome way that Warrell Dane
I'll
did.
still
Oh
take it.
yeah.
But yeah, which also was funny. I forgot I wasn't going to talk about it, but it's like one of those clickbait things now.
Yeah.
Like Paul, what was it? Rob Halford says that he tried to seduce Paul Diano or something, and now it's like every website is like
That's kind of
talking
hot.
about it. But man, they were basically, it just sounds like they were like really wasted, and
Oh my god.
Halford started thinking he was looking good, but then nothing really happened. So it's kind of not news at
A
all. But
non-issue,
I
but
mean, I
kind of
feel
a
like it'd
funny
be pretty.
nod to like what could have been.
It would be the most heavy metal hookup of all time if it did happen.
It would be.
I think
Yeah.
I don't
That's pretty
metal
heavy.
on metal on metal for
Oh
real.
yeah.
Real.
If only.
But yeah, if only the one Deanna's the one that got away for
The
Rob
one that
Halford.
got away.
Hey, it can still happen.
Never
It can
got
still
away.
happen. We can make this love
That is
connection
true.
work. He's still living. But
Wow.
yeah, Sanctuary, great. Both those records. Somehow I was lucky enough to have those early on. Like I think I just found them at a secondhand record store. So yeah. And another thing I always thought was cool, like those Sanctuary records, like it was like 10% of their sales went to charity for preventing child abuse, and I always thought that
That
was
is
cool
cool.
because I don't know, you don't hear a lot about bands doing that,
No.
and for some reason that always stood out to me from their records.
I think that's amazing. I didn't
So they
even know
always
that.
seem like very like dark lyrics, but still like with definitely with a heart, I would say. And
It's so important because I think
yeah,
that
great.
people neglect a lot of things like that, you know, where it's like they're not as charitable, or if it's charity, it's maybe, I mean, I just can't, I guess record sales aren't as big of a thing anymore, so you can't do it through that way. Because I know you mentioned the live stream shows that's going to some charity, but like, yeah, when
Hmm.
record sales were a big thing, yeah, that's a substantial amount of money. That's pretty good. Oh man.
Yeah, and another thing I always thought was interesting was that Dave Mustaine produced that first record, Refuge Denied.
Yes, he
Oh,
did. You can tell. It sounds like so far so good, so
I
what?
didn't even
I
know
think
that.
what I remember, if I remember right,
Did they buy him a
they,
car? They bought him like a car for it
yeah,
or
and that
something.
was like how they paid him.
I don't know why that's in
Was
my
it to
head, but for
listen
some
to it
reason I
on
feel like that's a
on
fact,
was it the car test? Like when you the car mix, it's
right?
like okay,
It's the car
perfect.
mix.
Yeah, I was
Totally. It
trying
still works.
to um, find the specifics on that story, but I can't. I'm pretty sure that's
I think
true,
they bought him
though.
a
Wow.
I'm
car.
pretty sure that's a real story, but
We're gonna call it
we're gonna call it fact.
fact.
But yeah, my first track for the playlist is Judas Priest, and
Oh yeah.
uh, hell yeah, I did. I planned it. I celebrated it. It's Judas Priest with "Victim of Changes,"
Ooh,
and
that's
I've
a classic.
been had the pleasure of seeing this one live a few times, but it's just like I don't know. It's like a landslide of metal, and it doesn't stop.
It's one of my
And
favorite Priest songs for sure. Definitely sticks with me. I
like
love that one.
I remember being a younger kid, and my dad got a new record or stereo that he was really excited about, like for the audio quality. And I was like, what should I put on? And Sad Wings of Destiny was the one that I chose to break it
Hell
in.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, what
That's one of my favorite
Awesome.
Priest albums too. Honestly, that and probably Screaming for Vengeance, but I don't know. Sin After Sin is good.
Both
I
good.
like most Priest. Yeah.
yeah.
Hell yeah. Um, well, Marco, we've done it again. I think it was last week we both
Hell
picked
yeah.
Dio to add to the playlist, and this week we both added a Judas Priest pick, and I'm fine with it
I'm all right with that.
because might as well
Nice.
bring that heavy. My track is "One Shot at
That's a
Glory"
good
by
like
Judas
workout
Priest
one.
off
You're
of
like
Painkiller.
at the gym getting it and you're like,
Yeah,
I need this.
hell
When
yeah.
you
No,
Yeah.
that whole album is
when you go
perfect,
hot
and
rocking,
that
it's
song
a
is
good
Yeah.
perfect.
song.
No, that is a
Yeah,
good one. I guess that one I listened to a little bit less, but that one is pretty good too.
I just that chorus just gets me so amped up. It's like the word epic in metal, we use it a lot, but that song is just truly just it's like an anthem. So, One
You
Shot at
know,
Hell
Glory.
yeah.
that album used to be probably my most listened to Priest album when I was younger, and it's like now I just completely forget about Painkiller and everything. Like I don't even like that. I don't know what your guys' opinion is. Like that's their most kind of more modern metal sounding album. I love it. Some reason I always go to the more
I
classic sounding stuff they do now. Not like Rockarola. I'm not a big Rockarola fan, but like I go
Hmm.
to like the real like the older sounding stuff I gravitate towards more. But I don't know what that is. It's like that album is still killer though. I need to give it a re-listen. It's been like a few.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
it's
I
one of
feel
my
like there's a
favorites
couple
still.
factors
Just
that seem to play in there, like getting Scott Travis on drums, who's a beast, but definitely more um, was pushing probably for a more modern sound with his drums, and then
Mhm.
also Halford was
Mhm.
doing a lot of new stuff with Fight and
Oh
whatever
yeah, that's right.
there shortly after that. So
Yeah, it's
probably a
got on the heels of
combination
that.
of dudes in there. Also, well, yeah, the solo records by Glenn Tipton were kind of really. I don't know if they were all tuned down, but they were definitely more modern sound too. So it's probably I don't know. It's probably a group thing. It's just
Bring
where
in
they
a
were
new
at.
Kind
era
of
because
shift.
that I forget that is kind of a newer album too because that's 1990. So that's kind of yeah, right after I don't
90,
know what
yeah.
came after that, but like that's kind of probably when they were starting to evolve into a little bit of a different sound, which makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because after that they
Mhm.
were with Tim Owens for a couple records, and Halford went off
Yeah.
and did
Yeah.
his thing. But yeah, and
Yeah.
do you got your next pick, or otherwise I have the list here that you
I
gave me.
think I'm trying to let's see off the top of my head. Oh, what did I do? I had no, I don't want oh,
Cruise,
Cruise.
Night of the
Night of the
Road,
Road. So that
Cruise.
shown to me um that fucking band is killer. I don't know if you listen to any kind of like Eastern Bloc era heavy metal like it's I don't know that there's a Russian translation and then there's like the English. I think it sounds more badass in Russian personally. Um yeah, they ended up kind
Yeah,
of
no, yeah, I need to look into this because I'm definitely there's a period
Yeah,
where I was
same.
digging into bands from other countries, and somehow this one and I had never crossed paths. So I'm definitely going to give this a spin.
so that one came out in 88 and I think that 1978, which is a long time. And there's, I don't know, like for a while I was kind of checking out a bunch of like bands because they bands people never really had access to. It was, behind the Iron Curtain or whatever. Like
Mhm.
you don't really hear a lot of
Yeah,
Russian bands. But I thought that song
I
was
feel
killer.
like yeah, it seems like there's still some sort of. I mean, I guess the fact that it's hard and getting harder for bands to tour around the world, but still almost feels like there's got to be some sort of hand that's trying to keep people from uniting in their love of heavy metal around the world, and they just keep pushing through. To me, it seems like there's got to be something going on, but yeah, it's like I feel like we've talked about it before. The community of metalheads, you can kind of um, get into it into a group of people anywhere in the world and probably have a good time and not
We're
hurt each other for the most part.
I
we're
try
all
to think of
buds.
like what countries it's actually illegal to have music like that in because I know years ago I watched some documentary. It was like heavy metal in Baghdad or something where it's illegal there, but there's a
Yeah,
lot of
That's a big
stuff.
Iran
one.
was another
Hmm.
big one. There was a band where I guess there's been a
That was
couple
recently,
bands
wasn't it?
recently, one last year, one this year. Um,
Oh,
yeah, so I know. And then there are some places in Europe um, where I know there was different troubles. I think Behemoth has gotten so big that they can't be stopped. But
yeah,
for a while there, I think they had troubles with the state in their area.
yeah. I picture. Well, I don't know. I guess there's some pretty solid Polish heavy metal too. There's a lot of good Polish heavy metal bands, but like whenever I think of European countries, I guess I can't think of any bands from like Chechnya or stuff like that where it's like they're very, I guess, very conservative, but just in general more strict about what kind of music is, you know,
Yeah,
culturally acceptable.
I feel like the
Mhm.
yeah there probably have to be groups. They just never got into a funnel where they could really be heard or promoted. So yeah, it's definitely always worth keeping digging.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my next track for the playlist is one that I actually found just digging through new wave of British heavy metal releases. It's Dark Star with Lady of Mars,
Oh,
and
nice. Okay.
This was like I think it was in the late 70s or early 80s, and they were on like a Metal for Mothers Volume 2, um, kind of a compilation of new wave of British heavy metal music. But I don't know exactly what happened, why this one is not even as well known as, say, your Budgie or Angel Witch, but I guess they played shows then during the time they were very active, and they played with like Magnum and Budgie and
Oh,
Angel Witch, and this track really stands out to me from that time period as very strong. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
what the story is of why it didn't catch on, but it's a cool album cover, I think, because it kind of does have that thing we were talking about, where it's like not a lot going on, just more like a figure
pretty bold,
on the
yeah.
front,
Like, even that lettering is cool.
and
I like that.
yeah, for especially for the time, it looks like way almost like 80s action movies, but before that was really a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, so there's been a number of re-releases of their music through the years. I definitely think you should crank it loud and check out Dark Star. My track is Lady of Mars.
I gotta check that out. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's definitely one of my faves. My next pick is from Flotsam and Jetsam. It's from their first album. This song is called "She Took an Axe." Just like one of my like brass tacks, like speed metal tracks. That whole album actually, but that song in particular. Just when I heard that, I'd heard like because of Jason Newsted, the connection being a giant Metallica fan. I knew he was in a band called Flotsam and Jetsam, and it was hard to get a hold of it
Mm-hmm.
back in the day because there wasn't YouTube and stuff. So when I finally got a hold of it,
I
I was like,
imagine that's
"Oh
probably
shit,
Yeah,
hard to
and
okay,
find back then. I picture it
I
being that way.
yeah, it was tough.
Eric and I, we
It's a
we
different
grew up
time."
as friends. We actually sat next to each other in fifth grade, and I remember you gave me this record,
Oh wow.
Flotsam and Jetsam, Doomsday for the Deceiver. So that is one we've kind of like traded back and forth these things that we find, and I remember that was one that you found,
That's
Right.
and
badass. I love that you
yeah.
guys have been friends for that long. It's nice to see friendships last.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
all the
is.
Wow.
It
time.
is
It's like
pretty
first
wild.
grade.
It is pretty
That's
wild.
cool.
Like we were playing
Been
Mortal
through it.
Kombat on Game Boy with a link cable. That's how long it's been.
Oh my god, I remember those days.
Living it, and it was great. I
Oh,
liked
that's
it.
great.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so the next pick you gave me, it looks like Crucifixion with Green Eyes.
Yeah, that one is kind of like, I guess we're going through a lot of the new wave British heavy metal kind of stuff. Like that's kind of where I kick with Little Saved playlist, and that one always pops up. Like I don't know, I feel like it's I know a hell of a lot about Crucifixion, but I think the song kicks ass. So
Yeah, I almost feel like
Oh
just
yeah.
by
That's what matters.
coincidence, I think if you are kind of listening to this song, I think Dark Star kind of tends to pop up and vice versa. I don't know. I just feel like
Nice.
I've seen
uh,
that name come up over the years. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember that that album cover sticks out to me too. It's almost like, if I remember right, almost like an Eddie looking
yes.
dude with a sword.
And back with like they're a bit older, they didn't have any full lengths. They just kind of EP had like they have like demos, and they were on a couple compilations. I guess maybe that was more common back then. Um, that's why there's not a hell of a
Mm-hmm.
lot about the band, either of them, but those have a ton of potential, and I really, really like those albums. Same with like Virtue, if you know that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that only has like 4 songs on it, but it's so badass that it sticks with you. So I like it.
Yeah, the preservation of that genre and when it was coming out, the preservation was tough with that, and I find bands all
Oh
the time.
yeah.
I'm like, I didn't even know this existed, and somebody kept an
Yeah, or
EP
kept a
safe
tape.
for long enough to
Yeah.
get it
Oh
digitized.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's
something.
cool. I mean,
So,
it's I guess to me metal's kind of, the gift that keeps on giving. You find some band from like 78 or,
oh yeah.
82 that is just something you've never
Hmm.
heard before that sounds as good as anything.
It's weird when you hear
And
something
then
that sounds like it could have come out
Right.
like within the past 10 years and it's like way older and it still sounds fresh.
Hmm. Right.
yeah, and vice versa. You hear like
Jerusalem did that
some,
for me.
16-year-old people that
Uh-huh.
are putting out something that sounds like it could have came out in 84. And so it's like that's what I guess that's why
Hmm.
I still, probably will always love heavy metal kind of because of that.
Oh
But
yeah.
but
Yep.
my next track takes us to the Metal Church. This is Metal Church with Beyond the Black. It's actually the first Metal Church song on
Nice.
the first Metal Church record. And Kurt Vanderhoof wrote the lyrics and played guitar on there. And another thing interesting about this record is Terry Date did this record, who went on to work with Sanctuary and Pantera. It was kind of like probably his biggest records, and then Deftones and stuff like
Oh
that. But yeah,
wow.
this was his first one, Metal Church '84.
Oh yeah. Definitely
Oh yeah.
probably one of the first metal albums I heard. I remember I got a bunch of stuff off LimeWire and I know that Metal Church had to have been one of them.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's killer.
Yep.
I haven't got to see them. Didn't they tour like a few years ago? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but
Yeah, we
yeah.
I think
a
so.
group I was playing in supported them, and then also I remember when I was like a teenager, it was a 21 plus show that I snuck into. Was here at Harry Mary's in Des
Nice.
Moines Metal Church, and I think Three
That's
Inches of
really.
Blood was
Oh
opening, so
wow.
it was amazing because it was like 3 Inches of Blood just coming up from Canada, and then Metal Church, and there was this really drunk dude that actually I love, but I won't call him out, and he's like very much a punk rocker, like to what I am to my love of metal, he is to punk rock, so I give him a pass. But I just remember he was yelling Metal Church songs at 3 Inches of Blood, and it was really cringy, especially in a small venue,
Yeah.
in a small venue. But it was awesome. And then he eventually did get to hear Ton of Bricks, so it all worked out in the
There
end.
you go.
I've forgotten about
Oh,
that
that's great.
story, but
Yeah, the awkward, the
that's
awkward
funny.
concert, the amazing things that happen in small venues, and also the awkward
Yep.
things that happen.
To look to the
It's
back of
like
the
it,
room if
you
you're
know.
on stage, like pretend you're not acknowledging it. It's like, all right, next song is.
Yeah, like, do we call this dude out, or do we say something, or we just
Just
ignore,
let him
or we
roll. Just
pretend
let
it
him
didn't
burn
happen?
out.
He was very persistent.
Oh my
I think
god.
eventually someone came up and was like, "Yo, dude, they're next, man."
Yeah, like get it out of their system,
Oh,
man.
it's great.
Um,
I mean, I guess the other epic thing would be if Three
speak.
Inches of Blood did actually play Ton of Bricks. That would be pretty epic too.
Just call them
We
on.
will
Call
call
the
your
bluff.
bluff.
Um, speaking of old school memories, Mark and I touched upon this before on the show, but talk about like albums and songs that really just like cemented the love of metal and why we're still doing this today. But
Hmm.
Megadeth's "Kill the King." This single came out after they've done a few albums and more rock stuff, which I love. I love every Megadeth record, but it was kind of a time period where everything I was listening to was, past tense, older records, and just to hear this new track by a band I loved, and it kicked ass, and I was just like, oh shit, like this is a current thing. This isn't a metal isn't a past tense thing, and it just
Oh
cemented
yeah.
another nail in it for me. So
Yeah, I remember. I
kick ass
remember
song
wondering if
still
it was
kicks
going to
ass.
be the Rainbow Song, and I think that would have been pretty sweet too. But they're both
Yeah.
good songs. In my book.
For a
But
second, I
yeah,
thought it was two. I'm like, is it Rainbow or?
Oh yeah,
Hell yeah. Yeah,
both
for
good,
sure.
both
Oh
good
man.
songs.
I
Hell
do
yeah.
have to give that to Megadeth because they have done some underground covers that are pretty awesome. I think like they did the Fear song,
Oh,
did a
yeah.
Led Zeppelin song, and
Oh yeah,
back in the
that's
Right on
day,
right.
the
the
tiles.
the Sabbath song, Never Say Die, which I hadn't even heard. I hadn't really noticed that Sabbath song
Yeah,
until I heard the Megadeth version, and then I was like, yeah, this rocks.
Yeah.
totally. I heard that first.
Damn.
I don't know who it
I
was.
didn't realize that. I didn't know
Then
Oh
they did
yeah.
some of those covers.
yeah, we'll get into
Oh yeah.
the
Yeah, let's go
newer
check them out.
tracks, heavy radio new tracks. You got Midnight Dice with Speed City.
Yes, that is a Chicago
Nice.
band. They are fucking killing it right now. The solos on that album are insane. If you want to hear a lot of shredding and some really good, like, it's almost more towards speed metal. It's really good. I was very impressed by it, but
Hmm.
that's something I had the honor of doing. I had the honor of doing artwork for that one and their album before it. I've been kind of steadily working with them. I'm hoping I can continue working with them on art, but
Hmm.
yeah, that album was killer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah, they're great. I've been watching them come up, and yeah, they've just been getting
that
better and
hypnotized
better.
album
So
cover was something that stood out to me for sure from the website.
Well, thank you. I mean, they're I'm just happy I get to work with them, to be honest, because you know there's not a lot of times where you kind of get that perfect match. But excuse me. Yeah, Midnight Dice. I really like the other stuff he used to do too. I think. Well, I'm kind of forgetful right now. What was Satan's Hollow? I think he was in Satan's Hollow. Another Chicago
Yeah,
band.
okay, yeah.
looking at those Midnight Dice covers, I also happened to see the Necrofilth and Van Lade, and the Van Lade. We have some mutual friends in there. We actually had we've only had the opportunity to tour a few times, and once was with Van Lade.
I love those dudes. I'm
And
sad that God, I was halfway. I have a big painting sitting on my desk that is about 80% done for the past 2 years. Or maybe not 2 years, past year. That was supposed to be for their next coming album, and I don't know what's going on. Um, I think Zach
yeah,
hurt his
who
hand or
hopefully
something.
yeah, we'll see what happens. I think the wizard can conjure up a cure for that. We'll see. We hope.
I hope so.
But yeah, Van Lade, awesome, lots of potential there. Great. Just yeah,
They can
I've seen so
shred
many
too. Brett
kick-ass
Scott's.
shows from those
Oh
dudes.
yeah, they're all fantastically talented, and I wish them the best. I hope they can continue on.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
My first new pick is coming in from Armored Saints, and this
Oh,
is Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. This is coming out October 23rd. It's their eighth full length, Punching the Sky. It's coming out on Metal Blade Records,
ooh.
and there's actually a video you can check out now. Armored Saints Standing on the Shoulders of Giants.
Gonna say, how'd you know about this already? No, I'm just kidding.
Awesome.
Um, I was just I just actually we had the last song they released on our playlist as
Oh,
well. So
nice.
this is the second new Armored Saint song in recent times, and yeah, I think if you dig any of the Saint over the years, you will probably enjoy this. So check it out.
Awesome. Definitely will have to give that a listen.
Hell
Thank you.
yeah. This band I saw back in middle school, and they were at the time the loudest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Um, I definitely like some of their singles. I wouldn't say I know their catalog the most, but this band is Deftones, and this new single is called Genesis, and it's just got a lot of loud, angry energy to it. That sometimes you just need that. Sometimes you just need to crank that shit in your car or your headphones, and it just caught my attention. I was just curious. So I wanted to hear what they were up
I'm
to, and
shocked they
I
have
was
new
like, oh
stuff
shit,
out.
okay.
Actually, I don't.
So
When was the last time they put something out? Because that's kind of it's been a minute,
Um,
hasn't it?
the the last thing I remember was the vocalist. Did
think
you ever hear any
so.
of those Dark Knights metal collaborations with DC? Like Chino had something from
Mm.
that, and so did Jerry
Oh shit.
Cantrell. That was last year. I thought
Okay.
both those tracks were pretty rad. Chino's was Brief Exchange, I think, and then Jerry Cantrell was another one that did an awesome track for that.
I guess they did
But
have
that's
I
something
I
in
remember
think
that.
that was
Yeah.
kind of it's kind of a bit of a resurgence, but I think it was a solo song,
hmm
and then I think they kind of I would say it's actually some of the cooler vocals I've heard from him. So maybe there's a
Yeah, he sounds
newfound
back on his
potential
game for sure.
to be had there, and they were one of those bands that came out in that new metal time that I thought were pretty different from the pack. So
Yeah,
I'll
they
definitely give them
they
that.
definitely
Yeah,
are a bit
they
separate
stood
from a
out from
lot
all
of
that.
like I never really listened to them a hell of a lot, but I think that they are definitely a lot different from a lot of that other stuff going on. And a lot of my friends that you know I trust their musical integrity, so to speak. I think that they're fucking on point. Like,
Mhm.
I guess I'd have to give Deftones a listen for myself, but it's like I know a lot of people that have good taste that like them, so I can trust it.
Yeah, I almost feel
Definitely.
like
Yeah, I'm
I don't
curious what
know
Good
them well
Silence gonna
enough,
sound
but I
like.
feel like they almost fit into those sort of kids that probably liked metal that just kind of tried to get packaged by a label sort of thing.
Sure.
Like maybe or organically they would have been more, a cooler organic thing, and they kind of got
Right.
forced into doing stuff. That would be my guess anyway.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so maybe this should be rad. I know I like what I've heard, so crank it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Next
check it out.
new track, the last track you gave me was Solicitor with Betrayer. I know we mentioned them
Ah,
briefly.
yes. So you guys,
Oh
there you
shit.
go. So you
I
guys
almost
have
picked that
listened to
song.
that already. You guys know it's a killer album. I'm glad we got to talk
We
about it a
know
little
that
bit
it
earlier.
rips.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, that song is like it's just got like a that chorus is like got a Judas Priest vibe,
Oh yeah.
and that it just gets stuck in my head. I've been listening to it a lot lately.
Isn't it?
It's
I mean,
straight up
it's so
kick ass
weird
metal.
because even some parts of that album, like, remind me a little bit of Sanctuary, but maybe I hear that in a lot of things because that's one of my favorite bands. So it's kind of like,
Mhm.
you know, I look for those little. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I really love that new album, and
Yeah.
it's fucking killer. I had to name drop it, so yeah.
Hell yeah. Glad you did.
Awesome. My next new track and my last new track for this week's playlist is Burning Witches with Circle of Five.
Ooh.
There is a new video you can check out for this song. They're from Switzerland, and I guess maybe you can give your thoughts on this too. But I think it's one of those funny things where when there is like all females in a heavy metal band, it seems like all the news stories point that out. But yeah, it says all female heavy metal band unveils new album, but to me it just seems like an organic thing, especially in the case of this band, and their artwork is rad.
I definitely want to check that out. I don't know. I actually don't
Hell
really know a
yeah.
lot of bands from Switzerland, really, in general. Like, I'm trying to think of another one. Like, that's probably the first I've heard in a long time, at least. But yeah,
Yeah, and they're really good. I think they just got a new guitar player, I believe, and yeah, I'm excited to hear the new album. They've been promoing the single. I think it just came out Friday, and I'm excited to hear what the
yeah,
whole
for
album's
sure.
going to turn out
I
to be.
definitely want to check that out. What's that? Is it Dance with the Devil? I
Um,
think that's what.
let's see.
That one says 20.
I think it's yet to come out the new
What's
one.
up?
I think this was just the
Oh
Burning
yeah,
Witches. This I think it's just
yeah.
a
It looks
single,
like a
right?
music video. Um,
One of
so yeah,
the members,
I think the album's
Sonia.
still
I think they
upcoming.
used it to introduce a new guitar player, Larissa Ernst.
Oh, okay. Was she? Let me look at this really quick. I'm trying to see. So Sonia on guitar, her other band Clover Spell, and that's pretty good. I don't know. She's on the most recent album, but who's the new guitarist again? Let me see. Larissa.
Her name is Larissa Ernst.
Check. Okay.
They call her a Swiss shredder.
Nice. Nice.
She was in a band called
Yeah, I'm excited
Anna
to hear that
Lux
album.
and a band called Gamora.
Nice.
Dope. Hell yeah. My last new pick is from a band we got to open for way back in the day, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I've heard of
Band's called
them.
Leaves Eyes, and the song is Chain of the Golden Horn.
Yeah, we
It's kind of power metal zone, but good ass riffage, really good playing and singing. Just got old school tone, but I guess maybe a power metal zone vibe. But
yeah
yeah, song's really cool. Another one I'm excited
we
to dive more
supported them
into.
at the Reverb in Cedar Falls. I want to say like 12 to 13 years ago, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it was
A while.
yeah, back there. So I'm excited to
Sure.
hear the new
Yeah,
stuff.
I do dig some power metal on occasion, to be honest. Like, I've always been like a big fan of Rhapsody and like Blind Guardian and, a couple other ones that
Oh,
are
yeah.
more, I like that stuff. I want to hear
Mhm.
some dragon slaying music, once in a while.
Have you
Right?
Yes.
When you
have you
when you're in the
heard?
mood for it,
Have you
it
ever
hits it.
encountered Judicator, the band Judicator?
Ooh, I don't think so. I don't think I've heard that.
I would
No.
check them out. They're a newer group, but definitely you can hear some Blind Guardian love in there.
Hell yeah.
I'll write that one down. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, and with that, we put Heavy Radio 13 into the book of heavy metal, again featuring the awesome Lauren Gornick. Check out lgornickart.com, at Gornick Illustration on Instagram, and great talking to you.
Yes, likewise. It was great talking to both of you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for coming on
Oh,
the
yeah.
show, and
Thanks,
you're
man.
welcome back anytime.
How yeah, Heavy Radio 13.